It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast. On this, the 9th day of June, 2025, coming to you from my studio in Forest, Virginia. Brought to you by the 2025 World Cruise on Crown Princess and by Will U.S., the owner of Scoot Around and Chillie's Cruises. We've got a lot to cover this morning. I would like to point two things out before we get started. Joanne's here on time today. Congratulations, Joanne. Always good to have you, my dear. I'm just teasing you, you know. Mike's with us from the other side of the pond. There's Gretchen. Of course, Hot Air Tom was first one in the house today. He's up there in Pennsylvania, Lancaster. All right, so we got a whole bunch of stuff today, but the main thing is the news portion. It's not the hugest amount of news, but we've got several stories to cover. One, we're going to talk a bit about the 2025 World Cruise, which encountered some hellaciously rough seas. Got a little interview with Nate. Also, this morning, the Zika Virus Case in Oahu. Grand Princess to sail year-round in Australia. 35 years in Port Canaveral. A new cruise terminal in Santo Domingo down in Dominican Republic. Norway adds a tourist tax. And Liberty Suceeeds Fain over at Royal Caribbean. That and lots more here live at 11 o'clock today. Also, guys, I have to point out that today is National Strawberry Rhubarb Pie Day. Gag. I love strawberries. Oh my God, I hate rhubarb. So, deal me out on that one, dealer. This day in history. In 1973, Secretariat wins the Triple Crown. Speaking of the Triple Crown, boy, what a phenomenal sports weekend it was. I know some of you guys aren't total sports fanatic like I am. But not only, speaking of the Triple Crown, not only do you have the Belmont Stakes, which was at Saratoga this year, not at Belmont. Sovereignty, the Kentucky Derby winner, beat Journalism, the Preakness winner. And it was one of those races for the ages. That was just such a good horse race. Of course, I always root for the Kentucky Derby winner to do well. So I was thrilled about that. The finals of the Italian Open, not the Italian Open, the French Open this weekend on clay. You couldn't ask for more in two tennis matches than the finals. The ladies was the first seed against the second seed. They won 3 sets. Coco wins. The men's first seed versus second seed. Alcaraz comes from behind to beat Sinner. And man, they were just both of them like, heavyweight fights. They were just, I'm not a huge tennis fan, but it was good tennis. I mean, you had some golf this weekend, the ladies softball World Series. There was just a lot of stuff going on. All right. If you are listening via the podcast, you're always welcome here. You can access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the fat travel guy. Okay. We better do this first before we get into all the other stuff. And we got to look at the weather. There's nothing in the Atlantic Basin, so any of you guys traveling in the Caribbean, you don't have a thing to worry about for now. But boy, look at the Pacific. You've got two tropical storms. That's the second and third named storm already this year. And you got another one that could form just to the south of them in the next 48 hours. You're not able to have three tropical storms going down there. Actually, Barbara has just been reclassified as now a hurricane. So, that's just happened right now. Maximum sustained wind 75 miles an hour. Pressure's 991 and dropping. That's moving northwest at 10 miles an hour. Then out a little bit to the west of that is Tropical Storm Cosme, which is at 65 miles an hour. The pressure is 994 and dropping. It's moving west-northwest at 6. And then you got the other storm that could pop up. So, that's going to affect the Mexican Riviera cruises, destinations, Mazatlan, Cancun, Mazatlan, my mind went blank, Cabo San Lucas, and Puerto Vallarta. I could get down to bother Acapulco as well. And then who knows about if it gets up into up into Baja. You just can't tell at this point. So anyway, we got a hurricane going in the Pacific, another tropical storm, and probably another storm on the way. So we'll definitely have to watch that. Okay, so that takes care of the weather. Let's see. I got to get rid of that. Boom. Okay. So I had a big weekend here at the Farmo Falls. One, we got the pool open, and it's water's still cold. Jason and Katie were here. Katie and Amanda both swam Friday and Saturday. I wouldn't get in it. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you folks, on yesterday after they left, this early rain cleared away and it got just hot as blue blazes in the afternoon again, pushing 90. And I went outside to get a little sun. I can't stay in the sun much like I used to, but I don't want to get in a little sun. So I was outside. I called Amanda to come down. She's got Danny, the dog, is staying with us for a while. That's the president of Randolph College's dog. So I got out of my chair and walked down the 2 steps and sat down on the edge of the pool. So I had my feet dangling in the water. I mean, it was cold, but it's, I could at least do that much. My mistake was then I have to get up. And boy, you can tell a difference from last year to this year as far as me getting up and getting out of, I wasn't in the pool, but even just sitting down, I don't know. So somebody suggested, it might have been John last night. I was talking to him, and he says, man, check with your people and see if they've got a lift chair, like the pool lift chair that you could, maybe they'll provide it for you or rent it at a reasonable rate. Because I have a feeling I'm going to have issues with getting in and out of the pool. So that's something for me to play with now. All right, so we got a bunch of the rest of the family out in various places. That's Sylvia. She's still in Chicago. Of course, Sylvia does those fantastic pressers, she calls them, where she goes into places and reports on the accessibility issues and their sponsored trips. And God bless her. I mean, that's fabulous that she does that. You'll notice she's in the C2, which is the same chair that I use. But she's been in Chicago for the last 3 or 4 days. Otter Tom is up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania at the Avid Hotel. And it's a nice, accessible room. Everything is set up properly for those of us that need the roll-in shower. And Hot Air Tom posted a picture of the room, which I'm not going to use because I have a feeling Cindy would kill me. Because in the picture hanging on the wall is an undergarment of Cindy's, if you know what I mean. And I said, nah, man, I'm not going to do that to Cindy. Yeah, if it was Hot Air Tom's undergarment, I wouldn't give a damn about that. But anyway, so they're up in Pennsylvania. Let's see. Nick and Cindy went to the Mellow Mushroom and had a holy shiitake pizza. I've not had their holy shiitake pizza. We have a Mellow Mushroom here, and we've on occasions I'll pick up a pizza there and my man will bring it home. By the way, I did go out to dinner this weekend on Saturday night to take Jason and Katie out to dinner. You know, for months, when I've been home, I haven't gone out to dinner. Like, we just don't go anymore because of, my sister. And it was nice to get out, and we went to my favorite Mexican restaurant, which Jason and Katie both like it too. They've been there many times when they've been in town. So we went to Mi Patron and had a nice Mexican meal, and there may have been adult beverages involved. There may have been some adult beverage involved with what Jason and I were here all weekend too, which we won't go into that. Let's see. Our buddy Emma is in Copenhagen getting on the Norwegian Star. Remember the Canadian girls? Oh, this is Brenda and hubby. This is in Usage Fain Falls or something in Nova Scotia. So it's always good to see Brenda when she's out traveling. Our buddy Rona, that's one of our Scottish ladies. They were in Greenwich, England. And it was Gretchen's birthday. And so Gretchen and the family, looks like they played a little golf. Of course, Gretchen and the family, when they do a party or something, it's always a blockbuster. So a happy birthday a couple days ago to Gretchen. And that gets us up to Australia and the World Cruise. It was just tacky weather. Nate did have, let's see if I can get it right, some Sauvignon Blanc from Ereza Ruiz, Chillie, which is a bucket list wine for him. And he had a little taste of that while he was at the comedy show on the Crown Princess, which is pretty awesome. All right, so we've got a little information on that coming up. Yeah, let's go ahead and knock that out while we're doing it. It's been a very difficult time for the last several days on the World Cruise, primarily because of the weather. On June 6th, just a week into the 113-day World Cruise, Crown Princess experienced some less than ideal weather off the southern coast of Australia While en route from Sydney to Adelaide, the ship was already encountering rough seas when sailing near the border of Victoria and South Australia. Unexpectedly, the wind shifted from 45 knots on one side of the ship to 50 knots on the other. Captain Christopher Lai shared an announcement on the public address system to all guests on board shortly after the tilting had concluded. "Apologies for the inconvenience. It is Captain speaking from the bridge," Lai said. "As you may have felt, we encountered a strong change and sudden shift in the wind. We are now turning the ship around to make sure we are okay with our sailing on board," the captain noted at the end of the announcement. The turn was executed off the coast of Norway, Australia, and the ship resumed sailing towards Adelaide shortly after, where it arrived on June 7th. Unfortunately, even though the tilt was not more than 7 degrees, it did a fair share of damage and caused multiple onboard cancellations. I chatted about this and other items on the Day 10 World Cruise Update with Nate Valier. All right, my guest again, of course, is my buddy Nate Valier, who's in Adelaide, Australia. Nate, welcome back to Chillie Chats.
Hey, Chillie. Glad we could actually get a signal that works.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're getting a little bit of air sounds from the background. As you can tell, Nate is ashore. All right, you're in Adelaide. We've got some reports of the bad weather you've been going through. Tell us a little bit about the weather from Sydney to Adelaide.
It's actually started in Auckland. We had about 16 to 18 foot swells, and we had about I want to say an 8-degree list for a couple hours. We literally had a 60 mile per hour wind, not a gust, but a wind off the port side of our ship, a direct 90-degree hit on the side. And it's been kind of interesting. I thought Queen Charlotte Sound was bad. I've been on a couple of transatlantics, and this one's been interesting. The Australian winters are not nice. I can't wait to get a little bit west of here. But we did hit some swells last night unexpectedly, and a bunch of glasses broke. They had some products fall off the shelves in the gift shops and stuff, and just caught a lot of people off guard. I was already in my cabin when it started happening, and I'm editing my video. The laptop kept sliding and it breaks and stuff. But it's when you go on these world cruises, you get the world's weather. So like today, this is the first time it hasn't rained all day, and hopefully the sound isn't too bad. I'm in the retreat area right now. There's nobody here. The pool's been empty pretty much the whole time, but believe it or not, there's nobody in these hot tubs. So I figured if I'm going to be outside, I'm going to stay warm. So we got the feet in the hot tub, and we got a good signal, thank God.
Yeah. What? Let's see. It's 7:40 a.m. here. So it's like 8 o'clock at night.
I don't know what time it is. We've done one of these weird time changes where it's a half an hour time difference. So let me look at the Princess app, because my T-Mobile phone says.
Uh-oh, I lost you. If you can hear me. Oh, there, you're back.
Yeah, sorry. So, I minimized the app. So the Princess app says it's 8:41. My phone says it's 9:11. I don't know. It's night. I mean, it's dark out. And it's not raining. So I'm happy it isn't raining.
Yeah. All right. So were you able to go ashore at Adelaide?
Kind of. There was I had a bit of an issue with a independent shore excursion, and I know this is one of those arguments that a lot of people make. I followed all the directions. It said specifically to book this cruise tour, not the regular tour, because it picks up at the cruise ship port, and they said they pick up at 9 o'clock. And the confirmation email didn't have a lot of details, especially like we have in Alaska, where they have maps and times and everything's like that. This was not quite as thorough. And so they said, "Oh, we'll text you, at 6 o'clock, with the exact pickup time." Well, that never happened. I never got a text. They said they sent me an email stating the pickup was at 8:20. So that didn't happen. I was started to get off the ship at 8:30. It took about 15 minutes, and walked around. Nobody had heard of this company or seen them. There's not dock reps here, and took about 30 minutes to find out. Oh, you missed your ticket. So hopefully it's a learning experience for them, because they, most tours send you like a reminder in the morning and give you really good pickup instructions. This company did not. I'm not going to name that because I want to give them a chance to fix the situation before I go and do my normal stuff. But it's kind of odd because I've ran my own tours, so I know what the expectations are, and I even showed up early. But to move a short excursion time by 40 minutes, I think, is a little on the extreme side.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't get to go to the wineries today, which probably is a blessing in disguise, because the weather was really kind of crappy here. It felt like June. It's 50 degrees, rainy, very windy throughout the whole region. So I think I would not have had the best experience at the so spent the day, worked a little bit, watched some movies, started one of my books. I've been on this ship now for 7 days and have yet to touch any of the 9 books I brought. It's been pretty busy.
All right, so your next stop is Perth, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Fremantle, Perth, and hopefully we make it on time. I did get an excursion to Rottnest Island, which is home of the huacas, which are the little rat-looking kangaroos that have a wicked smile. So I'm hopefully get to see that. And I've already talked to the company, and they said if we, it's non-refundable, which I get, but if we miss it by a day, they'll move my tour by a day. So yeah, looking forward to Perth, but Perth we get in on Wednesday. So right now it's Saturday here, and it's just it's a lot of cruising, a lot of sea days, and then after Perth, it's basically a week to our next port, which is Mauritius. Yeah, Mauritius, whatever.
We both have to figure out how to pronounce that word before this thing's over with. All right, so is there any difference in the ship itself from a regular cruise like we're used to a long cruise like this? Do they do anything grossly different?
No kids.
Well, that's good.
I think there's about 10 kids on the whole ship. As of right now, except for the logo, the World Cruise logo out, they've had a couple of highlights. We get a lot more entertainment. You get more shows. They have some guest speakers that you probably wouldn't have get on a regular show. So that really hasn't kicked in until after Perth, because I'm still selling individual segments from like Sydney to Perth and whatnot. So people got on here today in Adelaide. And so Jody, the cruise director, who's an experienced World Cruise director, said, once we depart Perth is when the real all the fun stuff starts.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if I know we haven't talked about this on the air. One of the things you asked to check on was if we knew anything about Namibia and Africa. And what I did find out was that it's still sketchy as far as overall safety, as far as, gangs and that kind of thing. However, the LGBTQ, that end of it is apparently cleared up in the last 15 years. It's very much accepted now. So that end of it, you don't have to worry about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is still a little sketchy as far as overall safety goes. So
yeah.
Anyway,
maybe I'll get off and find a magnet, get back on the ship. Who knows? But the excursions are really expensive, and I'm talking, $450 to $600 Australian.
Wow.
So when you convert that to US dollar, which is about a 2/3, just under a 2/3 exchange rate, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
One of them's even like a whale watch, and it's like $670. I'm like, how is it this expensive? It's like, do you get a personal security guard with it? But Namibia by far has the most expensive excursions in general. There are some out of Cape Town that you have a flight up into the northern part of the country, and you can do a mini safari. That's like $4,000. But even Cape Town has some pretty affordable options, including a wild ostrich farm. So I guess they eat ostrich down in South Africa.
Okay. I'd like to go to an ostrich farm.
It's an ostrich and wine tour, and I'm like, that doesn't seem like a good mixture.
No, that sounds a little goofy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, have you done any of the shows?
Kind of. One of them was kind of a generic dance event, and I know they put their heart and soul into it, but just with the rocking, with the ship, it just...
Yeah.
I just couldn't sit through it. I have done some of the demonstrations, cooking shows, and a couple talks, and, they're very informative.
Yeah.
They last about 45 minutes, and amazingly, the theater's not packed. I thought that on a cruise like this, there'd be, just everyone sitting in there knitting or doing whatever. But we seem to have a pretty active set of cruises on board. They've had like an Australian Beetle show. They've had a Neil Diamond cover type guy. He's actually been pretty good. There's live singers and bands in the plaza and in the Wheelhouse bar.
Yeah.
The solo meetings are... It's kind of hard to tell who's doing his solo meetings because everyone's in there knitting and playing board games. So I've kind of walked through the solo meetings and can't really tell who's solo. Same thing with the LGB meeting. That's all right.
Yeah, that pretty much is consistent, I think, with a lot of princess ships. I've always had problems specifically with the solo meetings on Princess. Again, they have them set up, but they don't have a host. Well, it's one of the things that Norwegian's got a lot of problems, but Norwegian does right. Is the solo and the LGBTQ meetings where you actually have a person, a staff member. So they do that better than anybody. But
and at least they have a sign up. There is a sign inside the bar, for the meeting area, but it's kind of hard to tell who's doing what's what. But I've got 55 more days, so I'm having a good time. A lot of the crew recognize me from the shop in Skagway and Juneau, which has been kind of cool. I know the cruise director, the activities manager, and some of the other folks on board.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of friendly people, and some people who aren't very friendly. You learn quickly who to avoid. And it's so far so good.
Okay.
Can't really complain.
Right.
We've had some rough days, but making the most of it.
Okay. All right. There we go. Let me make sure that I'm back on the air. I think I'm back on the air. Sorry about the abrupt ending on that. Everything froze up, and I had to edit out when I was trying to get it started, and there just wasn't any way to make a nice, smooth transition out of the interview with Nate. So it was good. Let me double check, make sure you guys can hear me okay. I assume somebody could drop that in the chat. I'd appreciate it. All right, so that was Nate Villier from, of course, Alaska Travel Desk on the World Cruise on Crown Princess. All right, I'll be back with the rest of our news stories after a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors. All right, back to the news portion of the show. Thanks, Mike. A case of Zika virus a mosquito-borne illness has been confirmed on the island of Oahu by local health officials. The Hawaii Department of Health issued a statement about the confirmed case and has also indicated that there are 2 other suspected exposures to the virus. This is the first time since 2019 that the virus has been detected on Oahu, which of course is a popular tourist location. The confirmed case of Zika is a travel-related case, meaning it was imported into Hawaii by a visitor. The Grand Princess is set to take over Princess Cruises' year-round itineraries in Australia and the South Pacific. Replacing the Crown Princess, which is currently based in Sydney, the 1998 built vessel will offer summer cruises out of Australia and New Zealand ports in 2027. After completing a winter season sailing from Brisbane, the ship will sell itineraries departing from Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Fremantle, Auckland, and more. The schedule starts in March of 2027 and includes cruises to Fiji, Papua New Guinea, as well as short cruises to Australia and New Zealand. Other highlights of the deployment include a 28-night round Australia cruise from Sydney in early April of 2027. The Grand Princess is also set to operate a 79-night Circle Pacific voyage, which sails round trip from Brisbane, Sydney, and Auckland in June of 2027. In addition to destinations in Australia, New Zealand, and the South Pacific, the cruise is highlighted by visits to ports in Southeast Asia, the Far East, Hawaii, and North America. Carnival Cruise Line marked 35 years of cruises from Central Florida with a special celebration aboard the Mardi Gras on Saturday. As the first major cruise line to sail from Port Canaveral in 1990, Carnival has grown its operations over the years to homeport more ships than any other cruise line and embark more than 1.2 million guests from the port annually. World Cruise 2025 on the Crown Princess. This is the segment that I would love to take, and yes, folks, there's still openings for this year. Sails August the 20th from New York to Sydney, 36 days at sea. This segment starts in New York City with stops in Miami, Cartagena, Colombia, full transit of the Panama Canal, a couple stops in Peru, and multiple islands in the Pacific. Fares start at $41.69 per person based on double occupancy. Sorry, folks, there's no good solo deals yet, but we'll monitor that situation. If you might be interested, give me a call, 434-258-9264 for the August 20th segment of the 2025 World Cruise. It can be frustrating when cruise guests receive notification just days before sailing that their voyage has been altered and port visits changed. That's just what is now happening to guests booked aboard Royal Caribbean's Serenade of the Seas for her June 22nd departure. The impacted sailing is a 7-night Alaska Inside Passage itinerary round trip from Vancouver. While most of the cruise remains unchanged, the final port visit, Ketchikan, Alaska, as well as a scenic cruising day have been adjusted. The email notification explains, to prevent any potential delays and ensure a timely arrival in Vancouver, we'll sail directly to Vancouver instead of having a second scenic cruising day. The final 2 days of the cruise were to have been scenic cruising, but now the ship will instead head directly to Vancouver. Furthermore, the arrival and departure times in Ketchikan, which of course is a lovely rustic port destination with the world famous lumberjack show many cruise guests enjoy, is now changed as well. will now arrive at 11:30 a.m. and will depart at 6 p.m., the email confirmed about Ketchikan. Not to worry, you'll still have plenty of time to explore everything this beautiful destination has to offer. The original schedule had Serenade arriving in Ketchikan at 1 and leaving at 8. The adjusted schedule reduces the ship's time in port by 30 minutes and could impact guests who have arranged private tours for their visit. The Dominican Port Authority has declared intentions to construct a dedicated cruise terminal in Santo Domingo, initiating a U.S. $400 million project sited near Juragua Hotel along the Malecon. The proposed facility, planned for completion before 2028, will provide passengers with direct access to the colonial zone and is expected to stimulate adjacent tourism sectors, including hotels, restaurants, bars, and casinos. On June 5th, the Norway Parliament approved legislation permitting municipalities experience significant tourism-related pressures to impose a tourist tax of 3% per overnight stay. This measure encompasses cruise passengers among those subject to the fee. Royal Caribbean Group announced that Richard Fain, the long-serving chairman of the board, will step down from his role in the fourth quarter of 2025. Fain, who has chaired the board since 1988 and is credited with shaping much of the modern cruise industry, will remain involved with the company as director of the board. Stepping into the role of chairman will be current president and CEO Jason Liberty, who has led Royal Caribbean Group since January 22. Are you planning on a trip to the land of the rising sun in the near future? Scoot Around, powered by Will, is excited to announce that we now have mobility scooters and electric wheelchairs available for rent in select locations across Japan, including major tourist destinations like Tokyo. You can book online today or call Scoot Around at 888-441-7575. Use SRN 11137 or call me at 434-258-9264 for a mobility scooter or power wheelchair in Japan. All right, that puts an end to the news portion of today's show. Let's jump over and see who's fussing at me in the chat room today. I know we had Mike and Joanne and Hot Air Tom here. There is one of our ex-folks, Daniela or Mary. Hello, Daniela. And Hot Air, Joanne, Mike, Gretchen. Everybody speaking back and forth. Amy's with us. Good morning, Amy. How are you? Bob's here, says, good morning. Have a great day. Gretchen says, y'all look great. Yeah, it was a good weekend, Gretchen. It really was. I'm sure you had the same situation with your clan. We have to borrow one of those crank and track lifts. Chillie can scoot into the box and then we can crank it up. Actually, what I'm hoping is that automatic, and I can just sit there and push the button. But we'll see. I don't even know if they're available. But yeah, that's possibly going to be an issue, which I hadn't thought about. And that's, again, folks, that's how much this whole body has gone downhill since last summer. It just has. Not anything I can do about it. Jamin's with us. Good morning, Jamin. How are you? Hot Air says, I'll have to send a updated picture without the question mark on the wall hook. Okay, it was a bra. Yeah, what the hell? It was Cindy's bra hanging there. And I said, I'm not putting that on there. She'll kill me. Todd's with us. Good morning, Todd. Gretchen says, thanks. Top Golf. Top Golf's where they play golf. Okay. Roger's with us. Hi from the car. Oh, Roger's out moving again. And Mike said sound was okay. Joanne says, haven't heard about Zika for a while. Yeah, thankfully, thankfully you don't hear much about that, which is a good thing. And at least from what I've been able to gather, I did some extra checking on it. There's just the one case so far. There was 2 possible exposures that they're waiting for the time for the exposure to show positive. And it was clearly a traveler. Somebody had it and brought it in to Oahu. I love the Nate segments. Thanks, Joanne. Cindy's with us. Good morning, says joining late. That's okay, Cindy. So you like the shiitake, holy shiitake? I have to try that. I mean, I like shiitake mushrooms, but I've never done the shiitake pizza. So Todd's here, says, so cool to hear Nate's updates. I enjoy it. I like doing it. The problem, obviously, with you being in a situation where we're 12 hours, give or take, time difference in a day, it's confusing as hell. Because right now, let's see, it's okay. So let's say it's noon here, means it's midnight there tomorrow night. I can't keep track of that. I have trouble going from, Eastern time zone to Central. So, yeah, that's a little difficult. But yeah, and this he's going to have. So I want to talk to him to get him to do more things on the ship. Tape little clips in the bars and the restaurants, and so we see a little bit more about ship life, maybe, because he's going to be, a week that he's at sea before they get to, however you pronounce it. I say Mauritius. He says Mauritius, and I'm not sure which is right. So we're going to have to find out about that. Yeah, Cindy says that's my very favorite pizza. Okay, I got to try that one. So I've never had shiitakes on a pizza before. So we'll get into that. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. It's been a good morning. It was a great weekend here. Obviously, I'm feeling a ton better considering. Still, folks, I'm good for about 6 steps, 7 steps, and that's it. This is the day for the housekeeper, so I took my hose off of my big, my long hose that I pull all over the house, and wrapped it up so it would be out of her. So I've got my portable unit with me in case I needed it while I was doing the show. I use that, of course, when I go out to the pool or anything. I'm okay sitting at the desk, but I keep the oxygen going now pretty much full time. Tomorrow afternoon, I get to go to the periodontist. Now, since I was just at the dentist 2 weeks ago, I'm not sure why. I know my dentist wants the periodontist to look at the bridge work because we need to start making a plan for the day that the bridge work dies. I've had it for, I don't know, 100 years. And it's starting to not bother me, but I can tell that the day is coming where it's going to go. So, my dentist wants to start on a plan of attack for what we're going to do when that day happens. And I don't mind planning ahead for something. That's okay with me. that means they think I'm going to live. So, yeah, that's cool. Plan all you want. So anyway, but normally I do the periodontal cleaning as well, but we try to do those, where they're 3 months apart. So I do the dentist, then I do the periodontist, and then I do the dentist, but it's only 2 weeks. So, and a lot of that was because of my crazy travel schedule, and then being sick and have to cancel, and so we'll see. Get back on a regular schedule tomorrow. But anyway, that's tomorrow afternoon. Other than that, not a whole lot going on here. We're supposed to have like pushing 90 degrees every day. So I'm hoping to get out and spend a little time in the sun every day. Just to try to get rid of the pasty whiteness and and get a little sun. I know I can't do much, but I want to do a little every day. And eventually, when the water gets to a decent temperature, I got to figure out about getting in and out of the pool. So that's all I had. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. As always, thanks for being with me. Please smash that thumbs up button if you haven't already. That would be extremely helpful to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please take this as my invitation to subscribe to Chillie's Cruises. We do this 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then depending on the news, we could do it any other day too, or multiple times a day. Never can tell. Maybe we're getting to the point where I can get out and do some things now. I don't have any cruises scheduled, and I'm not going to schedule them until I get done. The major thing that I've got coming up health-wise is going through the pulmonology crap again. So I'm pretty much stuck here until that's over with. So we'll see how that goes. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. You guys have a fabulous Monday. I'll see everybody back here Wednesday if I don't see you tomorrow. All right, guys, have a great day. See ya.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.